Above a bustling city sidewalk, a worker balances atop a towering metal frame before the entire structure suddenly tips backward. Secure tall workspaces firmly to solid building anchors. Build much wider foundation bases to guarantee steady structural support. In a paved transport yard, a man releases a tension band on his flatbed truck before the towering stacked cargo suddenly shifts. Stacked cargo relies on tightly secured tension bands to help maintain stability during transport. When a strap is loosened, the load can become unstable if it is not properly supported. Gravity may cause the cargo to shift outward. Anyone standing beside the open truck bed could have very little time to move away, and the weight of the cargo can create a serious risk of injury. Inspect tall loads for signs of leaning or instability before releasing any tension bands. On a dusty roadside edge, two sweepers clear debris before a large red dump truck suddenly swerves off the asphalt. Heavy commercial vehicles require a wide operating space because of their size and momentum. If a steering or mechanical issue causes a truck to leave its intended path, it can quickly enter nearby work areas. Workers performing roadside maintenance may have limited time to respond to an unexpected vehicle movement, making proper traffic control and safe working distances especially important. Place appropriate barriers between active traffic lanes and roadside work zones whenever possible. Face oncoming traffic while carrying out roadside maintenance so you can react more quickly to approaching vehicles. On a sloping residential driveway, a man steers an excavator onto loading boards before the unsecured ramps detach, causing the heavy machine to move backward. Loading heavy equipment places significant force on temporary ramps. If loading boards are not properly secured with safety pins or locking mechanisms, the machine's weight and traction can cause the ramps to shift or separate from the trailer. This can result in the equipment losing stable support and moving unexpectedly, creating a serious safety hazard for the operator and anyone nearby. Secure loading boards to the trailer with the appropriate locking pins or approved fastening systems before use. Verify that the ramps are firmly seated and stable before driving equipment onto them. Beside a parked delivery vehicle, three individuals climb the same ladder when the overloaded structure suddenly gives way. Portable ladders are designed with strict weight limits and are typically intended for one user at a time. When multiple people climb the same ladder simultaneously, the combined load can exceed its rated capacity and place excessive stress on the side rails and rungs. This added force can cause the ladder to bend or shift unexpectedly, creating a serious fall hazard with little time for anyone to react safely. Allow only one person on a portable ladder at a time. Check the ladder's weight rating before beginning elevated work, and use equipment only as intended. At a muddy construction site, a towering crane lowers a massive load when the rigging suddenly fails, causing the suspended load to fall. Suspended loads are supported entirely by properly rated lifting equipment. If a lifting sling or rigging component fails, the load can lose support and fall unexpectedly. Anyone beneath or near the suspended load may have very little time to move to a safe location, making proper lifting procedures and exclusion zones essential during crane operations. Establish and enforce exclusion zones around active lifting operations. Across a busy equipment yard, a mobile aerial lift extends high into the air before the extended boom suddenly collapses, causing the worker's platform to descend unexpectedly. Hydraulic boom lifts rely on pressurized hydraulic systems and structural components to safely support personnel at height. If a hydraulic or mechanical component fails, the boom may lose stability and move unexpectedly. Workers in elevated platforms may have very little time to respond, making regular inspections, preventive maintenance, and proper use of fall protection equipment essential. Lower boom arms fully before shutting down mobile lift equipment whenever appropriate. Inspect hydraulic systems and structural components regularly. At an open fueling station, a rider waits beside the pumps when a speeding car veers across the forecourt and heads toward the fueling area. Passenger vehicles carry significant momentum while in motion. If a driver loses steering control, a vehicle can unexpectedly enter areas used by pedestrians and customers. People standing near fuel pumps or other fixed structures may have limited space and time to move to a safer location, making awareness of surrounding traffic especially important. Install protective steel barriers around fueling islands where appropriate. Stay clear of active traffic lanes whenever possible. Remain alert to approaching vehicles and follow all safety guidelines during refueling. High on a flat building roof, a technician joins steel components when an unnoticed vapor leak ignites unexpectedly beneath the work area. Combustible fumes can accumulate invisibly in enclosed or poorly ventilated spaces, especially where flammable gases or vapors are present. If heat or sparks come into contact with this atmosphere, ignition may occur, creating intense heat and pressure capable of damaging nearby structures and exposing workers to serious hazards. Even experienced professionals can miss warning signs if proper monitoring is not in place. Before starting any hot work, verify that ventilation is adequate and continuously monitor the surrounding atmosphere. On a smooth facility floor, a heavy metal structure is lowered as the off-center load shifts forward and begins tipping toward. Top-heavy equipment can become unstable during the transition from elevated forks to ground level. If the center of gravity moves beyond its support point, the load may tip unexpectedly, creating a hazardous area around the equipment and giving nearby workers limited time to move to a safe location. Secure tall loads with appropriate mechanical restraints during lifting and unloading operations. Keep a safe distance from suspended or shifting equipment, and ensure workers remain outside the potential tipping zone whenever heavy structures are being positioned or unloaded. Across a busy transport depot, a forklift moves toward a truck for loading operations, while a fast-moving scooter enters the same lane. Low forklift forks can be difficult to notice, especially in busy work areas where visibility is reduced or equipment is moving between loading zones. When personal transportation shares space with industrial machinery, an unexpected collision may occur if operators or riders cannot see one another in time. Create separate travel routes for scooters and heavy equipment whenever possible. Lower forks fully whenever a forklift is paused or traveling through shared areas. Stay alert to blind spots, maintain safe separation distances, obey designated traffic routes, and follow established workplace safety procedures at all times. Inside a busy packaging center, a worker steps onto a moving conveyor belt while trying to cross the production line and loses secure footing on the moving surface. Conveyor systems are designed to transport materials, not support pedestrian traffic. Their moving surfaces provide limited traction for ordinary footwear, and a loss of balance can place workers dangerously close to moving machinery and conveyor components. Using designated crossing points and following workplace safety procedures helps reduce the risk of incidents. Use only designated pedestrian crossings when moving through conveyor areas. Never step onto an active conveyor belt. And ensure workers receive proper training on safe movement around automated material handling systems. Inside a bright auto repair shop, a man walks through the entrance area before stepping into an uncovered floor opening that leads to a service trench below. Open floor openings can be difficult to notice, especially in busy workshops where attention is focused on ongoing tasks. If a service trench is left uncovered or unprotected, someone may unexpectedly lose stable footing and fall into the opening. Proper barriers, covers, and clear warning signs are essential for reducing the risk of workplace incidents. Cover all service pits and floor openings with heavy-duty grating or properly secured temporary covers. Install highly visible barricades and warning markers around exposed trenches and inspect walking routes regularly. At an open shipping dock, a forklift unloads a truck when an unstable stack begins leaning away from the forks. A nearby worker reaches toward the towering pallet of bottled cargo. Once a stacked pallet begins to lean, its weight and shifting center of gravity can make it impossible to stabilize safely by hand. Attempting to stop or support the load may place workers in the path of moving cargo. Maintaining a safe distance allows the load to settle without putting people at unnecessary risk. Move away immediately if stacked cargo begins to lean or slide. Never attempt to catch or support an unstable pallet by hand. Inside a bright metalworking factory, a technician cleans parts at his station when accumulated metallic residue near nearby machinery ignites. Fine metal shavings and dust can accumulate around equipment and, under certain conditions, may ignite if exposed to sparks, electrical faults, or excessive friction. If this occurs, the fire can spread quickly through nearby combustible material and create a hazardous environment for workers, making regular housekeeping and equipment maintenance especially important. Remove metallic dust and shavings from workstations using approved cleaning methods. Inspect electrical systems and moving machinery for overheating, exposed wiring, or excessive friction, and maintain good housekeeping practices to help reduce fire risk throughout the facility. Across a high loading dock, an operator reverses a machine toward the platform edge until the rear wheels move beyond the dock edge. Reversing heavy equipment near elevated loading docks creates a significant safety hazard. If the rear wheels move beyond the dock edge, the machine can lose stability and tip unexpectedly. Operators may have very little time to respond, making edge protection, clear visibility, and safe operating procedures essential during loading operations. Install highly visible edge barriers or dock protection systems where appropriate. Check the entire rear travel path before reversing, use a trained spotter whenever visibility is limited, and follow established loading dock safety procedures. Surrounded by heavy workshop machinery, a man carries a large steel plate while walking backward across the floor until loose scrap metal catches his foot and he loses balance. Carrying large materials while walking backward reduces visibility of the travel path. Loose scrap metal and other debris on the floor can create unexpected trip hazards, and a loss of balance may cause the load to shift or fall. Good housekeeping and safe material handling practices help reduce the risk of workplace incidents. Keep workshop floors free of loose scrap before transporting heavy materials. Carry large objects while maintaining a clear forward view whenever possible, and ensure travel paths remain clean, level, well lit, and free from obstructions during lifting and transport operations. At a busy shipping yard, a forklift emerges from a narrow gap between two parked trailers just as a scooter rider passes across the hidden intersection. Large trailers can block sightlines for both forklift operators and approaching riders. When industrial equipment travels through blind intersections or narrow access points, other vehicles may not be visible until the last moment. This makes reduced speed, clear communication, and designated crossing routes essential for preventing workplace traffic incidents. Slow down and stop at blind intersections within shipping yards. Maintain a safe distance from parked trailers. Use warning horns and mirrors where appropriate, and follow marked crossing routes to improve visibility around obstructed traffic areas. Deep inside a quiet storage warehouse, an operator reverses his machine after a task, only for a snagged metal bar to suddenly spring out. When machinery catches on rigid shelving or structural supports during a reverse maneuver, mechanical tension can build between the moving equipment and the fixed structure. If the connection suddenly releases, the trapped component may spring back unexpectedly. Anyone positioned in its path may have very little time to react, making proper equipment operation and clearance checks essential. Lower lifting attachments completely before moving away from shelving or other fixed structures. Check that the equipment has adequate clearance before reversing, and follow established workplace safety procedures. Inside a busy textile warehouse, a worker pushes heavy fabric rolls while an approaching transport vehicle approaches from behind. Its forward view partially blocked by the load. Large loads can reduce an operator's forward visibility and create blind spots around industrial vehicles. In busy warehouse aisles, pedestrians and equipment operators may not see one another until they are very close, increasing the risk of a workplace traffic incident. Clear visibility, reduced speeds, and effective traffic management are essential for maintaining a safe working environment. Separate pedestrian walkways from vehicle routes whenever possible. Keep transported loads low enough to maintain forward visibility and require operators to travel at safe speeds. Use warning signals where appropriate and remain alert when moving through congested storage areas. At a busy production station, a forklift carries an overloaded stack when the upper boxes suddenly begin tipping toward workers standing nearby during transport. Stacking heavy containers too high raises the center of gravity and reduces stability during transport. Even small bumps or uneven floor surfaces can cause the load to shift beyond its balance point, allowing boxes to move or fall unexpectedly into nearby work areas and creating a significant workplace safety hazard. Transport heavy materials in several lower, more stable loads instead of one excessively tall stack. Maintain protective barriers between forklift travel lanes and workstations, and check that every load is properly balanced and secured before moving it. Inside a cramped kitchen storage room, a worker sits on a lightweight plastic crate to rest for a moment when the unsupported top panel gives way under his full weight. Plastic storage crates are designed to hold inventory, not to support the concentrated weight of an adult. When body weight is applied to a hollow container, the thin structural surfaces can buckle or crack unexpectedly, causing the person to fall through the opening and creating a serious fall hazard. Use only chairs, benches, or platforms specifically designed to support human weight. Check that any surface used for sitting is structurally sound and capable of carrying the expected load before placing your full weight onto it. On a paved rural street, a heavy loader raises a massive stack of timber when the excessive front weight shifts beyond the machine's safe balance point. Lifting cargo beyond the rated capacity of a loader places extreme pressure on the front axle and reduces the stabilizing effect of the rear counterweight. Once the center of gravity moves too far forward, the machine can rotate unexpectedly, exposing the operator to severe impact forces and dangerous vehicle movement with very little opportunity to regain stable control safely. Keep every load within the manufacturer's rated lifting limits. Divide oversized timber stacks into smaller, more stable batches. High inside a residential tree canopy, a worker cuts a heavy branch when the shifting trunk suddenly destabilizes his elevated position without warning completely. Removing large tree sections changes the balance and internal forces within the tree. As a heavy branch separates, the remaining structure may move unexpectedly, affecting the worker's stability and increasing the risk of a fall. Careful planning, secure anchoring, and proper climbing techniques are essential during elevated tree work. Attach climbing lines to an independent, secure anchor point before cutting major branches. Assess branch weight, wood tension, and expected movement before each cut, and maintain stable positioning throughout the operation. Inside a bright storage facility, a forklift reverses through a narrow aisle while an employee sits beside the active vehicle route unnoticed by operators. Forklifts can have significant rear blind spots, particularly when operating in confined indoor spaces. If an operator reverses without a clear view of the travel path, nearby workstations or seated employees may not be visible until the last moment. Separating pedestrian work areas from vehicle routes and maintaining clear visibility are essential for preventing workplace traffic incidents. Position desks, chairs, and administrative work areas well away from active forklift routes. Require operators to check their surroundings before and during reversing. Use warning devices where appropriate, and travel at safe speeds in occupied work areas. At a rain-soaked transport checkpoint, a worker rushes into the roadway as an approaching vehicle begins sliding across the wet pavement. Heavy rain reduces tire traction and can make it more difficult for drivers to stop or change direction safely. On wet pavement, a vehicle may continue moving even after braking, increasing the risk of an incident in areas where people are working or crossing the road. Careful traffic control and safe timing are especially important during poor weather conditions. Stay clear of moving traffic during severe weather whenever possible. Enter the roadway only after approaching vehicles have stopped, and follow established traffic control procedures whenever barriers need to be moved in wet conditions. At an open construction site, workers guide a suspended truck by hand while the lifting assembly carries the full weight of the vehicle high above the ground. Suspended loads rely on properly rated cables, hooks, slings, and other rigging components to remain secure throughout the lift. If a rigging component fails or the load becomes unstable, the suspended equipment may move or fall unexpectedly, creating a significant safety hazard for anyone nearby. Maintaining exclusion zones and using proper lifting procedures are essential during crane operations. Keep all personnel outside the designated exclusion zone around suspended loads. Inside a large distribution warehouse, a forklift travels with raised forks before sudden braking causes the machine to lose stability. Traveling with forklift forks raised increases the machine's center of gravity and reduces overall stability during movement. Sudden braking, turning, or acceleration can cause the load or vehicle to become unstable, increasing the risk of a workplace incident. Keeping the forks low while traveling helps maintain better balance and visibility. Keep forks and attachments lowered close to the floor whenever traveling through a warehouse. Drive at controlled speeds, avoid sudden braking or sharp turns, and ensure operators receive proper training on safe forklift operation and stability. To keep learning from these important workplace safety lessons, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay aware, stay safe.